where the basin is big enough to hold 21 boats at the same time. The narrow boats were used to transport the limestone out to customers along the canal network. And Galton Bridge were built in 1829 by the great engineer Thomas Telford in 17. So he was born 1757, died 1834. Foster Rastrick Company in 1828. It was the first locomotive to be operated in the United States and one of the first locomotives to operate outside of Britain. Which is on the far back of the church, and you'll find the far back of the church is always beautiful stained glass windows. How are you all doing today? It's the Midlands Outdoors, back with another video today exploring the Black Country. Look above us, look at all there. A lot of geese, there's a lot of wildlife today. Coming out this morning, we've just back by where the Sheepwash Nature Reserve is, over that corner. I think that's actually where them geese are heading, is to the pools at the moment. It's an interesting bit of site this. So we've got the BCN main line, which I covered in the last video. If you've not seen that, go and check it out. We are heading on the other split off section that goes to Aldbury today. I'm going to be covering that section under the motorway towards the Titford section by Langley, Maltings. Might go a bit further on, but there is interesting information behind all this, and I did cover a video on it a while back. I walked all the way there. Today we're using the bike one more time, and we take a look at some good history onto that line actually, because the Langley Maltings has a lot of history. Got all this wildlife, got more Canada geese, look, heading all the way there, look at that. And you can just see with the pylons, what I mentioned in the sheet wash video, look, they'll just avoid underneath there, look at that. That's what them diverters are for on the pylons in the distance. So there is some interesting stuff. What we're going to do, go straight down now, let's go and take the junction where we're supposed to be going. So here we are, we've made it to the junction where we've got to get to, just past the Dunkirk stop here on the corner. We've got the turning on the right. There is a really old bridge here as well, made by the Horsey Company in Tipton. So if we turn right, it should take us all the way to Aldbury and then under the motorway where there's more junctions. So let's go have a quick look. So yeah, here's the junction, look, where we've got to take off onto the corner, turning onto that way in a minute. You see how beautiful the canal is this morning. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. Very quiet. Got lots of wildlife starting to appear out. And you've got a sign over there, which it does say to there, the bit where we're going, Braid Hall Junction, BCN main line with brackets under it. It's quite interesting. Now we did cover that one. It goes really far, all the way down to Galton, Smethwick and then Birmingham. But yeah. Gonna go and see what's down here to see today. It's gonna be quite an interesting one. Can just see, if I zoom in, there is a really old barge onto that corner. Look at that. A bit of mist lurking right away at the back, look. Also got the pylons rejoining right there at the top. So right, it isn't very a wide towpath altogether. It is really quite thin, as you can just see from the floor right now, look. And it's just a bit okay for biking. But see, you've got wildlife, look, got a coot. Appeared out, and this is that barge that I was just on about, look. And then it's a British Waterways barge, and I was dredging thing, look Look at that, you can see it's rusting onto the bottom corners, look. It's been in that same spot for ages and ages. Look at that. And we've got some more things over there. I don't know whether that's more bits of the Sheepwash Nature Reserve. And look at that. That's some sort of like old works. I don't know if it's like a waterworks or something. There is a tunnel that links right underneath our feet right now over to that other side somewhere, and it is right down to there. I did take a look at it. It is quite interesting. It's like I wonder what this gate was here onto this corner. So why this canal's really interesting, I mean, with the Industrial Revolution you had lots of stuff down here, especially up to the canal where it goes up to the Titford pools. You got a Langley, Langley maltings, you had the T Clayton boats which used to come up and down, and having a bit of a look online I did see some stuff about that, old photos. I will show you a couple of old photos in a bit of some of the stuff what was down there. So right, here we are, I'm just coming from the bottom of them locks onto the bottom. Got these big flight of stairs and up this like little path now. Got another bridge here, look. There is something really old there. What is that? It's like a door going right the way in. Quickly zoom in. If anybody knows what that is, then drop it into the comments. Whether there's any old related factories over in the past, just serve onto that corner. But you can just see the building of the new housing estate today. So maybe there would have been some very old factory linkings. Got another bridge which potentially made by the Horsey Company in Tipton during the 18th century. Really clear into here, look at that. If I zoom in, can just see the bottom growth into there, look. Some like little plants growing right away at the bottom, so clear. But that is quite interesting. I bet you there's a bit of history linking into that, whatever it is, or whatever it's actually used for. So right, I believe, doing a bit of research at the moment, that bridge what I was just looking at is called Junction Bridge. But this here is actually known as the Gower Branch Canal, which spread out from down the bottom down from there. It does say the Gower Branch Canal is a half-mile canal at Tividale in England, linking Albion Junction at the Birmingham level, 453 feet above sea level of the Birmingham Canal navigations. And Braids Hall Junction, sometimes written a Bradshaw Junction, on BCN's older Wolverhampton level. So I don't know if this is actually the BCN old line, because you've got the BCN old and you've got the BCN new line. I know with history of the BCN old line that only had one towpath. That's why Thomas Telford assessed the route to build a better canal down to here, where it had two towpaths on each side for the horses to drag the barges up and down, to stop all the, you know, the arguments what was going on in Smethwick, to get access to go up and down the canal itself. So looking here, I mean, I'll pop a few photos on for you now so you can just see the sign at the bottom what I was looking at, Braids Hall Junction. You've got some of the locks here, better views of the locks here, look for you, and the Gower Branch Canal on one of the photos. It has a towpath on the eastern side and is crossed by only one road, the A457, just north of the middle lock. The branch is suitable for narrow boats up to 70 foot length and 7 foot beam. It facilitated travel between the Netherton Tunnel Branch Canal and the BCN Old Main Line without the need for a long detour to Tipton or Smethwick and back. That's quite interesting, that actually. So there is a bit of extra history here. So the branch was authorised by the Birmingham Canal Act of 1768, but was not completed until 1836. Well, so that's actually this canal branch right the way up here for you. yeah, pretty interesting. This is actually called the BCN Old Line, which is running right the way down to the bottom to Albury. The Birmingham Old Line Canal runs from Aldersley Junction on the Staffordshire and Worcestershire Canal in the West to Gas Street Basin in the city centre of Birmingham. The canal forms the main line of the Birmingham Canal Navigations, or BCN. The BCN network is a network of canals that were built to transport materials in and out of Birmingham. Brindley designed the canal to follow the natural contours to minimise the number of locks. At the west end of the canal there is a flight of 21 locks to drop from the Wolverhampton level to join with the Aldersley Junction. At the east end of the canal there were two series of locks to traverse the Smethwick summit. The summit required a continual supply of water to replace the water used by the locks. Two steam engines were constructed, one at each end of the summit, in the order to pump water from the Wolverhampton level up to Smethwick summit level. The engine still survives today and can be seen at the think tank Birmingham Science Museum. The Smethwick summit caused by a great deal of congestion caused by the time to traverse the locks, but also with a problem supplying enough water to feed the locks. John Smeaton was employed to provide a solution, which was to dig a 1,000 yard cutting. This did two things. The first was to remove 3 locks from each end of the summit, but the cutting was at the Wolverhampton level, which simplified the water supply issue. Bit of interesting information there for you, but this is actually the BCN Old Line, which we're running through right now for you. So it hasn't really took long to get down to the Albury section really. Just got to under another bridge at the moment. It's where I usually, if I walk down to here, my last episode, you ever seen it, to the Langley side, I'll come down off the bridge in front off the bus, then walked all the way to Langley. So it's pretty much took about 40 minutes just to get here in total through Netherton Tunnel as well. It's quite good on an electric bike, you can go pretty much far and cover a big distance. But if I just pan around, you can just see the bridge in front, look. So yeah, this is actually the main road coming up now, look. And that actually links into the Albury section near the town centre. So you can go up there. I think right at the top up to that corner you've got McDonald's at the back, and you've got the town itself. This is actually called up here, if I get a closer look, is that Whimsy Bridge it's called, look, onto this corner. It is still so clear down to here. This canal has always been clear. I mean, you don't get many barges come down at all. Look how clear that is now. There's so much rubbish in the canal, and it's crazy to how much things people actually throw in over time. You can just there, look, if I zoom in, it's crazy seeing that so clear. And then we've got the Seven Stars Bridge, which is right the way down the bottom. So right, I could imagine down this canal going back many years ago, there would have been all sorts down here, factory sidings, a bit Albury interchange, it was where they had something to do with the barges. There's quite a lot of very old things over to here. I mean, you can just see some barges there. That barge is really old. Seen some barges down the bottom by the motorway, they've been tucked there for years, not even been moved. Imagine there would have been old industry there onto that corner, look what I'm looking at right now, just before we come to the Seven Stars Bridge, just onto the corner. So yeah, this is the Seven Stars Bridge, look how clear it is down here as well. There's just literally so much stuff down there, look at that. It's amazing just to see the canal line clear. I've never ever seen it clear down here before. It's usually murky, you get the barges up and down, but many of the barges use the main line, which is at the far back. They don't really use this one much, the old line. And you see down there, look. but the motorway is just appearing. If I zoom in, you can just see the motorway appearing, look, at the moment, just onto the bottom corner. So we've only literally got to go round here, and then we're under the junction, which then goes to Titford Pools. So just coming further down, closer to the motorway, you can just see them barges, what I was on about, look. Been tucked there for that many years. There's about a few of them, there's even loads going right up to the corner, up to there. So whatever was on there might have been something really old in the past, just onto this section here. But then we've got the down to there under the motorway. This is actually quite the interesting part. There is a really old bridge as well under there, which links to the Titford Canal. Let's go and take a look. So right, this is it on the corner. This is Oldbury Junction Bridge. And you can imagine when the motorway wasn't here, I bet you this would have actually led over to the other side. There is even, right down the bottom where I'm zooming in, a very old bridge which linked up to that side. So maybe once more there would have been old factory workings just right onto that corner, look. But a nice sight of that bridge going across, look, from there. So right, here's the sign telling you the different section. This is actually called Oldbury Locks Junction on the corner. Titford Pools, 2.5 miles away. Birmingham, 7 miles away, just down that way, going right under there, and it will join up to the back, up to the bottom by that bridge which you've seen in my last video on the BCN main line underneath. That canal goes round and it will rejoin back up to Smethwick if you keep on that line. That's the route we're going to be doing. Look at that with the sun shining from there. If I zoom in quickly, you can just see there, look, the sun beaming through the clouds, look, lovely morning. So we're going to go there and then we'll keep moving on to past the Langley maltings. Got something interesting up there as well to take a look at, and there is a very old train track that used to run by the side of it. Let's go and make our way up and go over the Oldbury Junction Bridge. Wow, what early morning cinematics. That was actually beautiful, seeing the top areas, bits of the canal line, even that pump house which is right away at the top up to there. That's where we're heading. We're going down to the Titford Canal up here further on, and we're going to have a look at some interesting stuff for you while we're up this way. So it isn't really too far to the Titford pools up to the top. It's only about 2 miles, which ain't really nothing, to be fair. Probably take about 20 minutes to get there, especially because we're on an electric bike, and getting back ain't going to be a problem either. Let's go make our journey up and let's go and see what we can see. So just behind that wall right now is an abandoned train track, and it's been there for that many years. It's crazy to see how long time even goes past. So it says here the Ardbury Branch Railway was a short branch line which ran from Langley Green on the Birmingham to Worcester via Kidderminster line to the town of Albury. It also served the Albury division of the manufacturing company Albright and Wilson. It was owned and operated by the Great Western Railway. Picture on there of the railway bridge over the Titford Canal. So basically this actually closed. It says there the station at Albury had a very short lifespan, closing in 1916 as a result of the First World War and never reopened. Wow. Although some of the line remained in use for goods traffic to the local factories until the 1960s. When the section from Albright and Wilson Albury division to the site of Albury was served by the building of the M5 motorway. This meant the stub north had to be closed, but the section near Langley Green remained open for freight traffic until the 1980s and 90s, when the entire line was put out of use to this day. So you can just see there, I mean there is still remains. If you walk across that wall, getting through the gap, you will see the old remains into there. And you can actually see the bridge by Langley Maltings where that train used to go right the way over. Bit of interesting information, I thought I might include that into the video, because once more it is a bit of old black country history for you. So right, what you can see here right now, that is actually called Titford Pump House. If I have a quick zoom in, you can just see a bit of the features of the pump house. Looking right up, really old. I think it dates to the 18th century, so you can just see there. And there is a bit of information here. So the building is an old beam engine pump house that has been used for this purpose since the 1850s, so I was right, 18th century. Initially as a single engine, with a second engine installed in the 1860s. Later an electric pump was used. It says there, it is still a pump house with an electric pump in the building, drawing water from below Lock 6 out to the grills just by the junction between the Tap Bank Canal and the feeder arm on the Titford Canal. So it is quite interesting seeing that. It's nice to come up here seeing the 18th century pump house just before we get to Langley Maltings, which is just really now behind that corner, so it's not really too far. So right, this is the bridge where the train would have gone over many years ago. Nothing up there, just a bit of abandoned track and overgrowth. Been up there before, overlooking the Langley Maltings, which is right around the corner. Look, just up to there, can see the top buildings. Proper derelict state that place is, and I know one person who's been round there to have a quick look. Jules, Urbex Adventures, I think she's got it on a channel somewhere. I've never got a chance to check out what's inside there. I mean, there would have been old machines. It is on an exploration site, 28 days later, urban exploration. A few people have been round there. It was in mint condition, and I think that's actually what led to the fire. The vandals went in, graffitied, burnt it, and it ended up to the way it is today, where there is some buildings what have completely collapsed. So you imagine if that vandalism never come in, this place would have been in very good condition with steel machines, everything left inside there. So here we go, here's the derelict Langley Maltings today. Really falling into a lot of disrepair. I can't see this place ever being redone back up. It's probably going to be left to collapse now. But it's dating really old. Look at that from that corner. Got some windows out. Even the roof is caving in right at the top, look. There is even a bridge onto the other corner. I don't know if it's the top of it, look. And that collapsed down onto the floor. I bet it's infested with pigeons into there as well, and birds. You can see pigeons coming out, look. But really old. It is really nice to see it, that it's actually still here today. You can imagine back in the past what went on here. A lot of work, maybe bringing things off onto barges. And why I think this place was actually used with barges as well, there would have been cranes lifting things up to the top floors. You can just see a big window what's been bricked in, look, and there might have been a crane lifting goods up, similar to the bonded warehouse in Starbridge. They had like a crane system lifting things up to the top floor, so I think it would have operated very similar. So basically this place, Langley Maltings, it does actually say Langley Maltings is a former Maltings in Albury, West Midlands, built in 1898. Can tell it's 18th century, you can tell by the brickwork and the way it's actually all designed. So it was in operation until 2006. It was damaged by fire in 2009, so you can see when it went derelict, the vandals come in and it actually sat on fire. There would have been this building right behind me right now, which obviously collapsed due to the fire. It's pretty much a shame. You can imagine some of the history what's gone into there. So this was a picture in 2018 from the other road entrance. Looks in really good condition from that side, but from this side it was really bad. It's grade 2 listed. This is why they can't knock the buildings down, they have to leave it, but they're working around the site today, just on the flat land around it, which it can still be used. So it was actually listed grade 2 on the 18th of March in 1974, and it has been named by the Victorian Society as a heritage building at risk of disrepair. Like I mentioned, can't see it ever being repaired. So Langley Maltings was built in 1898, replacing a malt house destroyed by fire the previous year. So you can imagine there would have been multiple fires at this place. It burnt not just once but multiple times. So it was designed by Arthur Kinder and Son. It supplied malt to Crossvales Brewery, a short distance away across a rail line. So I can imagine they would have probably used that rail line behind. So they're established in 1870 by Walter Sherrill, distributed Sherrill's ales throughout the Midlands. The maltings was known as Sherrill's Maltings. So there is more information behind it if you want to look over it, because there's pages and pages full of what went on, the history about the maltings itself. I find it very interesting. You know, places like this hold much history. But yeah, let's go and make our way a bit further on. Let's go and see what else we can find. But that's just one more look of Langley Maltings for you, look. So I've just noticed this plaque on the floor. So we got here, in memory of Marie Smith, nee Beasley, 1922 to 2015, lover of canals and industrial history, which you can just see. They've put something up there, look, a man doing something with a lock by the looks of it. It's really quite cool seeing that. And then we've got the big openings just onto these corners, look, from there, bit down there, and a bit down there onto that corner. I'm guessing this is Titford Pools, I believe. I could be right, but look at that. So right, Titford Pool is right the way down there, I think, and it should be just onto the corner. But it does say here, hidden under the M5 motorway. Titford Pools is located along the Titford Canal and is part of the Birmingham Canal navigations. The pools were originally constructed as a small reservoir in the 1770s to feed the Titford Canal, and today feeds water to both canal and to Edgbaston Reservoir in Birmingham. That is quite cool, reading a bit of information about that. Let's go and have a journey down there and let's go and see if we can see Titford Pool altogether. And here we are, everybody, this is Titford Pool. It's peeking right the way out. I guess you can fish this as well. I bet it's quite a lot of fish, big carp that hide within the basins down to here. But look at that. So this is actually the termination now of the canal onto this section corner here, as you can just see there. Now we'll link back onto the main road down to the bottom. But look at the views of that down there. Got the pylons above. It's a bit like the pool near Sheepwash Nature Reserve where I went. You got the pylons above, look. But looking back, you can just see from where I come from, just down to there. Nice bit of stretch of the canal this, so it's definitely worth coming down if you've never been to Titford Pools. Come and get yourself down to here, really lovely. So yeah, basically authorised under the Birmingham Canal Act of 1768, which created the original Birmingham Canal. So I mentioned there how it was constructed in the 18th century. Now runs from Titford Pool, a reservoir made in 1773 and 4, which now lies under both sides of an elevated section of the M5 motorway near the motorway's junction number 2, to join BCN Old Main Line at Albury Junction, also under the M5. Beyond Titford Pool was a continuation abandoned in 1954 as the Portway branch would serve coal mines in the Titford Valley. Also from Titford Pool was the Causeway Green branch, opened in 1858 and abandoned in parts so basically in 1954, in September 1960, about all back there. It is really quite interesting, and we've got bits here at a height above the sea level of 511 foot. Titford Pool was one of the original water sources for the James Brindley 491 foot Smethwick summit level of his Birmingham Canal, later called the Old Main Line. Titford Pool is also the highest navigable canal in the Midlands, with only Rochdale Canal beating it at 600 feet above sea level. The feeder was not made navigable until 1837, with the addition of 6 locks named the Crow, which were adjacent to the chemical works owned by Jim Crow. These locks, as is usual on the BCN, have single lower gates to reduce leakage. The Titford locks, also known as Albury locks, became derelict and were restored in 1973 to 1974. So basically that's it for today really. We've covered pretty much all the Titford Canal, parts of the Old Main Line where it comes out from the junction down there, and it is lovely just to see the termination here onto the canal side itself. A lot of activity, we've got a motorway, we've got helicopters coming over, quite a lot of noise from the factories behind as well. But wow, what a day, hope you've enjoyed it. You know, see you again soon in the next video on the next episode of series 2.